Wake up with a smile. Yay! Welcome the world. You know, there are many folks who actually didn't make it into today. They left yesterday. They did. And you are here. You are available. You are present. You are beautiful. You are important. You are magnificent. You have something so incredible to share with the world. And I just want you to take the moment to appreciate that. Appreciate this moment. Appreciate today. And start your day out with some gratitude as you're making your way out of the bed. Go ahead and stretch those long, pretty toes right out onto those sheets and prepare your mind and your heart and your spirit to enter into today. And you know what the most exciting thing about today is? That you have no idea what's going to happen today. That's right, friends. You can plan your patooey off, but you don't even know how it's all going to turn out. And that is so exciting. That's so energizing. That's so incredible. This idea that you can follow your intuition. You can listen to yourself. You can step on out into the world with this idea that anything is possible, and know that today is special and important, not just because it's Wednesday, May 22nd, not just because you're here, but because you have something to contribute to the world, to the consciousness of the universe, to this human experience, and you don't even know what it is. You might have a conversation today with somebody that changes the trajectory of their life. You may do an act of kindness that brings somebody's joy back to their selves. You might say something or do something that reminds you of who you really are and just be overwhelmed with gratitude and love. You have no idea how amazing today can be, and the only way you can find out is if you step on out and give it a try. And we're actually going to be talking a lot about that later on today in the show, about the idea of how important it is to listen to yourself. And how do you actually listen to yourself? So I have a couple studies that I'm going to throw your way, which as always I do. There's one that came right on out of the University of Groningen in the Netherlands, written by Donaway Drasima, and he is a professor in the history of psychology. His latest book is called Forgiving, and he talks about the voice within. And so one of the things that he found in his research is that the importance of actually talking to ourselves, there's like a science behind it, right? About how we experience and observe inner speech. So a lot of times we hear people talk about inner, self-talk and positive self-talk and like affirmations and these different things that we can do to kind of keep ourselves on a trajectory of positivity. But the truth of the matter is, the biggest question is, how can we positively influence our lives by using simple affirmations and simple words of encouragement? And what exactly does that lead to? And so we can actually talk ourselves not just from the positive light, we can also talk ourselves right on into the darkness. You know what I'm saying? And so this voice within, right, this idea of inner speech, he did research on folks who were deaf, right, folks who are unable to hear and oftentimes also unable to speak. And so how do folks who are deaf actually, quote unquote, talk to themselves? Well, they do it in sign language, of course, some folks by lip reading, but more than 60% of children who are deaf actually have silent conversations in their minds. And so he found that folks, whether you are a person who is able to speak and hear, or you're a person who isn't able to speak and hear, that silent self-talk, those words that are kind of constantly going on in your mind, or the self-chatter that you have, actually can evolve to really incredible reflective introspection. And it turns out that positive self-talk can actually be a key part of building imagination, increasing your memory, and strengthening your personal thought. And what I thought was so interesting was that this idea of talking to yourself, research also shows the idea of talking to yourself is actually not a bad idea at all. And when you do it, you are actually self-realizing, self-actualizing your deepest desires and your thoughts. So there was some research out of the University of Toronto in Scarborough, and it was published in the Acta Psychologia. And this is what they said. As a result of giving ourselves the messages, right, of positive self-talk, we are able to keep ourselves running when we get tired. We are able to enact our self-control behaviors. And notice I said self-control, not somebody else controlling your mind or controlling your actions, but you are able to do that, self-regulate and self-control. And also to help yourself stop eating when you want another slice of cake or refrain from blowing up on somebody in an argument. So we can actually talk ourselves either into something or completely talk ourselves out of something. So this inner voice, it is seriously on board, y'all. It's seriously helping us out. And I think it's really interesting, and I want to hear what your thoughts are about inner voice, positive self-talk, or even negative self-talk, and how you've seen it impact your life, impact your story, impact your decision making. Because I know of what I've seen in personal experience, a lot of times we think to ourselves a thought and we're looking for a bit of external validation for that thought. And that can go either way. If you find out that you're about to, get in an argument with somebody and start, maybe even start a fight, you may look to the surrounding environment to say, okay, I'm upset, I'm angry. Are you upset and angry too? Yeah, you should be upset and angry too about what I'm upset and angry about. Yeah, let's be upset and angry together. And let's go over here and rile up some more anger and frustration. And then, yeah, let's push somebody around and just walk around with this gruff on our face. And that leads to continually growing up that anger and nurturing it. And there's a saying that I love which says that whatever wolf you feed is the one that grows. And what it means is, and a lot of time the saying is used around the idea of fear and love, right? So in your mind, if you feed the fears, they will grow, right? Or if you feed the imagination, it will grow, And so in those moments, it's what are we feeding? How is our self-talk continuing to feed our minds and feed our lives in a way? Is it in a way that's nurturing for us? Is it in a way that's deteriorating or challenging or destructive? Talk to me. I want to hear from you all about what your thoughts are on positive self-talk. How do you actually talk to yourself? Do you think it's important how you talk to yourself? Is it important how you speak to yourself inside of your mind? It's not the verbal stuff that I'm talking about so much, but more of that subtle kind of inside of your mind thoughts that kind of run through, and you kind of can hear yourself talk. If right now I were to say to you okay, say in your mind the word sunshine, you can hear yourself saying the word sunshine inside of your head. Do you know what I mean? That's the voice that I'm talking about, not the actual external voice that you speak out loud. Give me a call and let me know your thoughts on that. The number is 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065. Also, you can call me toll free for all my folks that are listening on WURDradio.com at 1-866-361-0900. And we are going to be speaking today with somebody who I am so in love with. I love her energy, and I love and just appreciate her every time I get a chance to hang out with her about exactly this. I have here with me in the studio, live and in person, Keisha Ng. I feel like I always say, am I don't know how to pronounce a two-letter last name.
We'll just go by Keisha.
Yeah, okay, cool. Keisha Ng. Okay. Who's going to be talking about self-actualization and exactly how we walk ourselves along that path. Keisha, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm super excited. This is a conversation that I feel like a lot of people think about, but we don't always verbalize it, no? Mm-hmm. And the idea that you actually play a role in your future is oh, right.
Yeah, it took me a while to realize that.
Okay, so let's talk about it. What was your path? I know you started off working as a designer, and you've transitioned quite a bit in that. Talk to us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, it's been very winding. I started studying communications in undergrad, having no idea what I wanted to do with that. And after graduating, intended to move to LA to pursue a dance career, but happened to sort of fall into a design internship and parlayed that into a full-time position. And I was there for 2 years. Slowly realized that I still wanted to go dance. And so after 2 years, I moved to LA and worked there or I didn't work as a dancer, but auditioned as a dancer, trained as a dancer, tried as a dancer for 3 years. And then moved to New York. I bounce around a lot. I moved to New York and continued working as a designer. And slowly over that time, when I left my first dance or design job, I had a sense that that wasn't exactly the thing I wanted to be doing, and I left for dance. So there was something else I wanted to pursue. And when I left the dance world, there were a bunch of things that being in the entertainment industry revealed to me about myself and what I cared about. And when I got to New York and was designing, design slowly started, it wasn't doing it for me anymore. And so all that time I was trying to figure out what might come next. And I've always been sort of creatively inclined. And so I thought, like, is it photography? Is it all these other sort of freelance things I can do? And none of it was really, I didn't feel the push to do any of that. And so I was just collecting data over many years. I can tell you about all the data that I collected about myself. But like just finally one day I had a conversation with a friend who was studying marriage and family therapy. And all those things that I had been thinking about, all the information I had been collecting, it finally all clicked into place. And then I realized I wanted to be a psychotherapist. And so now I'm in school pursuing my master's in counseling psychology.
Wow.
Yeah, very all over the place.
No, I don't think it's all over the place at all. I think it's very poignant. Like I feel like it's a path that kind of led you directly there, but it was winding, as they say, and varied and had its ups and its downs, and the hills and the forest and the rain and the deer and
right, yeah.
all the things that
all
come.
The views.
Yeah. And I love your story in the sense that you started off kind of in one space and you allowed yourself to explore, because I feel like a lot of times people, they walk the same path, maybe not the same situations or circumstances or experiences, but in general they start at a point and they really are like, oh yeah, this is the thing, and then everything shifts. And sometimes when things shift greatly, we like clam up and we hold on to like that, like, oh well, no, but this has to be the thing because it was the thing when I got here, and I just need to anchor down.
Thing I know,
and it's the only thing that I know, right? And so the fact that you adjusted and went with the flow, I think just shows so much resiliency.
Thank you.
But I love that so much. I have so many questions about your path. We're going to cut to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation around how you listen to your intuition, how you kind of self-actualize and self-realize as you're going about life's experiences, and take note of the little signs and differences that show you how and maybe where you should be going. And don't forget, if you have any questions or you want to share your story of self-realization, feel free to give us a call at 215-634-8065. This is Helena here live on Daybreak with you, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 96.1 FM, WURDradio.com, 900 on your AM dial. We'll be right back.
The Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts presents the Jazz Orchestra of Philadelphia, featuring jazz organist Joey DeFrancesco, Saturday, June 1st at 8 p.m. in Verizon Hall. Arguably the greatest jazz organist alive, DeFrancesco's music embodies the traditional art form infused with a distinct modern approach. Just part of what makes his music unmistakably his own. One performance only. Tickets and additional information at kimmelcenter.org.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM, WURD.
Philadelphia, this is Roland Martin, and I'm partnering with the Education Media Group, the 74, to host the Is School Choice the Black Choice Town Hall event on May 29, 2019, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Mastery Charter School's Shoemaker campus. Our goal is simple: to convene local stakeholders and help stimulate more genuine, fact-based conversations about the tough education issues impacting black folks in Philadelphia. We will also hear from local and national education leaders as we debunk myths about school choice and empower participants with the resources to choose the best options for you. This event is free of charge and child care will be provided. We'll also have a partner networking fair 30 minutes before and after the event where you can learn more about additional engagement opportunities with the various organizations that will be represented. Log on to Eventbrite and search for Is School Choice the Black Choice to register for this event. We look forward to seeing you there.
Now back to Daybreak on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Halana here, live and in the building with you each and every single morning, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., 900 a.m., 96.1 FM, WURDradio.com, sharing all the good word with you here on what I like to call a little wellness radio. Good morning and welcome to your day. It is currently 6:25 a.m. If you are on your way out the door by 6:30 a.m., make sure that you are not late. You know how those morning minutes move. They're either as slow as possible or then they go super duper fast and you're like running out the door grabbing your keys. So make sure as you are making your way out the door this morning that you grab your smile, you grab your packed lunch. You know, I'm a big proponent of packing your lunch, saving those coins, saving those dollars, and making sure also that you're eating healthy and you know what you're packing. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. I always get so many positive comments and responses from my listeners about like, oh my God, I've been packing my lunch for 2 weeks and I've already saved so much money and I lost a couple pounds. I'm like, okay, you better go on ahead. So know and believe and trust and believe that it does work when you pack your lunch and you really take that time to take care of yourself. It's a really small act of kindness for yourself, for the environment, and for your bank account. And I couldn't see anything that you could do that would be better than that. This is Halana here live on Daybreak, and we are speaking with Keisha Ing?
Yes.
Yay, I got it right. About the path and the journey of life and the journey to what we're calling self-actualization or self-realization. And even deeper than that, exactly how we can open ourselves up to adjust to life's changes and the winding of the river, if you will, and how important that is, and perhaps even how rewarding it can be as you move along that journey. You spoke a little bit earlier that you were a designer by trade, and you'd gone to school for it. You were living out in LA, you know, you moved to New York. I mean, you've lived in some of the largest cities in the country, and yet you found yourself in Philadelphia living a much simpler life, but that you noticed some things about yourself when you were working in the entertainment industry. What were some of those things that you learned about yourself while you were working there?
It was a lot of learning about my values.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought you might say something like that. Okay.
Yeah, the entertainment industry really kind of puts you through the ringer. I didn't expect that the dance industry would be so much a part of the entertainment industry. I don't know why I didn't expect that. I thought, oh, like, we're a little separate. But it's the same process. It's the same being typecast, going to auditions, trying to figure out your look. Like, which kind of girl do you want to be? And there are like these specific categories to fit into, and it's really difficult to make a space if you don't fit into one of those categories. And so one of the things that I realized is that I can't. It makes me feel so terrible inside when I'm being judged for my outsides.
Right.
And I think that's true of most humans, but to be in a space in an industry where it's so specifically about that, like, we already question who we are. To go into a space where they're like, but now figure out exactly like which one of these boxes you fit into, and that's what we're going to base your value in this work from.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's deep. And I guess I also hadn't thought of it in that way either, right? Of course, dance is deeply steeped in the entertainment industry, because many professional dancers that kind of get put on end up working for some artist or singer or company or travel or tour or whatever. Right. So I see now that as you're saying it, how they go hand in hand. And even those stereotypes that you were talking about, like, what's an example, I don't know, of some of those boxes that, you know, you have to go into an audition thinking like, okay, am I going to wear the knee-high socks and the...
Yeah, kind of. Like, audition, audition calls go out and they'll say, like, and it's so, I mean, it's so reductive. Like, they're, like, looking for, and sometimes they'll be specific about ethnicity. So, like, looking for Asian girl, like, street style or, like, rock style, whatever. And so, like... There's the game of sort of figuring out as yourself, putting that in air quotes.
Yes.
As you walk into classes and meet all the different people in the industry, who is that character? And then there's how can you bend that character as you go into the different auditions to try to fit the different roles. And so there are very specific things about like people figure out, oh, well, long hair sort of speaks to this kind of like sort of more vixen-y look.
Interesting.
Or like if I have like the shaved sides of my head, I can sort of fit these more like edgy is a word that's used a lot.
Of course.
Yeah. And so you have to sort of figure out how to interpret yourself through these really reductive words that the casting directors are sending out to then match the vision of whoever set up the thing. It's such a game, and it's I mean of course you have to be a good dancer, but
which you are, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I think this is true in a lot of careers, it's so much more about who you know and how you position yourself. And I think it's important to know that most careers are like that, but I figured out that was not the career I was willing to do that for.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So, transition, change, identity, all combusting at once, at every moment of life, at every turn. We were talking a little bit before the show about this idea of listening to your intuition. And I just feel like this is like a through thread that we're kind of, connecting as we discuss your story, because starting off as a dancer, living in LA, moving to New York, and then kind of unwinding all of that through design, through communication, and then deciding to go back to school. Whoa, that's such a big choice. What did you feel like you were going to be sacrificing if you didn't follow your heart? Why did you have to do this thing? Like, why couldn't you have just continued putting yourself in the boxes, continued being street style girl, or, edgy girl, or vixen-y girl?
Right.
Why did you have to change? Why did you have to surrender? Why did you have to step out a little bit into the unknown?
Yeah, I feel flat and stale, and not stale as in like I have to always be changing and evolving. Like I am always changing and evolving, but it's I think that there are some people that are really driven by that way of being, and it's not that for me, but I can feel when I'm starting to feel to be just like lacking and unfulfilled, because I notice that my whole affect starts to get sort of flat. I notice that I'm not excited about anything, and I can feel in my body this sort of urge to be elsewhere. And in some cases, it's important to sit through that discomfort. I think we all want to escape a lot of the time. But there's a difference between my feeling of I need to escape just because I need to get away from the thing, and I need to get away because I need to move towards the thing. And so when I don't follow that intuition, I start to feel like sort of combustible, flat and combustible, sort of contradictory, but
yeah, no, I can relate to that. Like when you said your affect changes, what do you notice about? And I'm imagining as I'm asking you this, like folks are listening and they're thinking like, oh wait, maybe this is how you notice what you really truly enjoy. Because the truth of the matter is like when we have these conversations around how do you figure out what you should do in life, or how do you figure out what your passion is, or how do you figure out what you should do for your career, I think a lot of the advice is very surface, right? Follow your heart,
and intimidating.
Do what you love, stuff that is quite ambiguous, but also true,
right?
But also like take some time to kind of figure out. So I'm curious, like when you say your affect changes in certain spaces, what do you notice, or what do you mean?
Yeah, Really specifically about the affect, I noticed that when I talk about a thing that I'm no longer feeling energized by, my voice gets kind of flat. So like right now, because I'm like excited to be here and also sort of nervous, my voice is going like up and down. Like I'm talking at a speed that I recognize as my like excited speed.
Yes.
But when if you asked me to talk about my design career right now, like the tone of my voice would be kind of lower. I would sort of probably be speaking slower. There's not as much kind of like desire to like get the breath and the thought out, and I sort of start to like shrink in on myself. And start to feel like, I want to leave this conversation.
Yes.
But like when I want to move towards the thing, I notice that like my body will sort of lean in. I will feel like, okay, like let's talk more, ask me more questions, or I'll ask you more questions, and sort of a desire to be there are things that I notice about like my physicality,
Yes,
and my energy.
yes.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. You said something earlier too about this idea of the changes that you're experiencing and the space to notice them. I'm curious, and maybe there isn't an answer to this, but how did you develop your ability to notice these changes? Because what you're describing is like super analytical, right? The idea that you can be reflective, I mean, just being honest, the idea that you can be so reflective to say like, okay, I don't feel energized by this career anymore. I'm not going to buckle down. That's a sign to me that I need to unbuckle and get out of the car and pick something new. And again, a lot of folks really have that right there, that whole unbuckling and rebuckling or whatever. That's what I feel like a lot of people sometimes get stuck because they're like, I have these financial responsibilities. I have children. I have, or really, truthfully, I feel like the underlying piece of that is I feel like I have to do what I said I was going to do. And you kind of like that self-talk that we were talking about earlier, that like that runs in your mind all the time is like you talk yourself into things and you talk yourself out of things. So how did you develop the skill of being reflective to the point that you could actually look at your behaviors and your thoughts objectively to be like, oh, and now I'm noticing that I get really excited and energized when I'm talking about something I love. Maybe that means I should go in that direction more and explore what that means, even if I have no idea where that's going to take me.
Right.
Versus I notice that I kind of turn inward on myself and get like kind of when I'm talking about things that I don't love anymore. How did you develop the skill of, of that self reflection, I guess, if you will?
I think the most helpful tool has been journaling. And I know that there's often this kind of idea that like journaling is for like little girls.
Teenage journals, right?
Yeah, teenage journals, yeah. And, like I journaled when I was young, and it was less reflective than it is now. But being able to look back on your thoughts, like putting it down separately from it being in your head, gives you some space. And you need space, and you need to be able to step back in order to reflect. And so I didn't start journaling with the intention of, I'm going to figure out what I want to do or figure out what my passion is. I just journaled about whatever was happening that day, whatever small things, whatever questions. And the important thing about journaling, I think, is to look back on them, because then you can see the patterns, and you can start to notice like, when I wrote about having this conversation with this friend, I was really excited, or when my boss asked me to do this thing, I wasn't really feeling it. And so being able to kind of put something down separately from like your physical body, I think is really helpful. And I often will video journal, like pull up my laptop, pull up the photo booth app, and talk to myself, which is kind of provides a different sort of feedback in that I can see what's happening in my body and on my face and in my voice as I talk about something. It's really, and for like emotional matters, it's really difficult to hide from yourself when you're watching yourself talk about a certain thing in a certain way. And I'll also voice journal in the voice app on my phone. And all these are different ways. Not everyone feels comfortable handwriting all the time. Not everybody has access to a notebook all the time. Not everybody, wants to see themselves on video. So all of these kind of different ways are things that I recommend to people. You kind of fit the thing that works, or you find the thing that works for you, and you give yourself a way to look back at yourself. And I think that the point you make about, people, there are different constraints that people have in their lives, and finding your passion, again in air quotes, like that's a really big question, and I think can be really intimidating when someone's like, I have to work this job because I'm taking care of my parents and my kids. I don't have time to figure out what my passion is. It's such a huge question, and it's really intimidating. And so I got this idea from Elizabeth Gilbert, who has a whole, I think it might be a TED Talk or a Super Soul Sunday talk about curiosity versus passion. Because curiosity is sort of a more gentle word. We're all curious about things all day long. And oftentimes just kind of like turning your head and noticing that thing, like, oh, that's something I want to ask about, or that's something I'm going to Google later, or like that's a class I want to try. Kind of giving yourself space to pay attention to those things, and not putting the pressure on yourself to turn that into your next career. That is a way to sort of start noticing where you want to move towards. And if you have constraints and you can't, I took out a bunch of loans to go back to school, and not everyone has that luxury. But if you just give yourself in your daily life space to be curious, because you also don't have to do the thing for your career that lights you up.
Yeah.
You can do other things, small things on the side that light you up.
Yeah. This is incredible. I'm just like, yes, everything that you're saying in every moment. This is Helana here live on Daybreak. I'm speaking with Keisha Ng about self-actualization and how to figure this whole thing out, y'all. So make sure you don't miss a beat of this conversation. This is Helana here on Daybreak, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial, onWURDradio.com. Make sure you call in and weigh in on the conversation if you have tips to share, or even just your own path of finding yourself and allowing yourself to be more curious. The number is 215-634-8065 or toll free at 1-866-361-0900. We'll be right back after this break.
Who will protect the citizens of the tri-state area from careless motorists, doctors who make medical mistakes, and companies that make defective products? Who will ensure that property owners are held accountable for dangerous conditions on their land? Who will represent the people with the honesty, integrity, and compassion that they deserve?
I will. I'm Sam Anion, your advocate, your lawyer, but most importantly, I'm your friend.
For more information, call 215-935-6901. That's 215-935-6901. Call now. Hey, Pico customers, how would you like to save energy and money and get $75 for that old working fridge or freezer in your garage or basement? Well, Pico makes it easy for you. They'll come to your home, pick it up, dispose of it responsibly, and give you $75. That's right, $75. Just schedule your pickup at pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE today. That's pico.com/recycling or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE.
Support independent black media and join the onWURD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Holla at your boy!
Word Radio congratulates the rapping professor on beating Shazam.
That's why we beat Shazam! WURD's own, the show is on the go!
Stay tuned to Word Radio so you can stay informed about where to find the rapping professor.
Open calendar. What's my schedule looking like?
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an emergency flash flood between Park and First Street.
What? No, that doesn't work. I'm busy then. Decline. Decline.
Floods don't exactly work around your schedule. Disasters don't plan ahead. But you can. It starts with talking to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. So don't wait, communicate. Visit readypa.org. Brought to you by readypa.org, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Zell. Some volume building southbound 95 out of jam now from Academy down through Girard. Northbound through the city, not bad. Westbound Vine, 8th out through Brodigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway, busy. Schuylkill westbound University through south through Slow Jam Boulevard, generally busy right out through Conshohocken. Eastbound side Blue Route through Gladwin again. Montgomery through Girard, a busy ride there. West Philadelphia issue, police activity, 52nd Street shut between Market and Arch Street. Again, police activity to watch for there. 42 in New Jersey, northbound between 55 and 295. Building up 55 north, jamming Deptford into 42. Zell's an easy way to send money or to friends and family right from your banking app. Not sure what to get someone for their birthday? Send the money with Zelle so they can buy whatever they want. Look for Zelle in your banking app or get more info at ZellePay.com. Zelle, this is how money moves. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now back to Daybreak on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live at wordradio.com.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Halana here live and in the building with you each and every single morning, Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial. I am so excited to welcome you into your day. It's nice and bright and sunny outside, and you know that sometimes brings us a little bit more joy, but I always tell you, don't allow the weather outside to dictate the weather on the inside. But you can still enjoy the sunshine, though. It is currently Wednesday, May 22nd. Currently 54 degrees outside, getting as high as 77 out there. For those of you that are indoors and kind of homebound, please make sure you stay hydrated. For those folks that are going to be running around like chickens with your head cut off with so many things to do today, make sure you stay hydrated. Basically, everybody just stay hydrated. If you are just waking up with me, welcome to your morning. Make sure you get your 2 glasses of water in, get that gratitude on, get that safe space for silence and reflection before you jump out of the bed and get going on all those morning responsibilities. Make sure you wake up with a smile on your face and really just bring yourself into your day in a loving and appreciative way, because isn't that how we want to live our lives? And there's so much research that supports how you start your day is usually how you continue it. So when you wake up rushed and stressed and frustrated, usually that string kind of flows through the rest of the day. But when you come with a certain sense of space and gentleness and kindness, oftentimes that compassion flows through the rest of your day in ways you can never quantify. And that is part of the beauty and the unexpected beauty of living this human experience. Welcome to your day. It's currently 6:45 a.m. If you're making your way out the door by 7 a.m., please don't be late. I know you always get enjoying the content that I am providing here for this, but I want it to be an asset to your morning, not a stressor. So make sure as you're listening in your home, you transition us into your car. Keep us tuned in and locked on 96.1 FM or 900 AM, or keep us on that WURD app or WURDradio.com, and make sure you get to work on time. That's what I'm basically getting at. Get to work on time. Allow this show to be an asset and a motivator to get you going on your day. And continue to make sure you keep a smile on your face, bring that joy into your life. Do one thing today that makes you happy. Just one. I know you're going to do more than that, but just do at least one thing today that's going to make you happy and bring you joy. And don't forget to pack your lunch. When you're making your way out the door, pack that lunch, get on going, and make sure that you are enjoying this day and showing up in the best way that you absolutely can, because all you can do is your best. And let me just tell you right now, your best is plenty. It's just enough. We are speaking with Keisha Ng, who is here with me live in the building. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
So we were talking a little bit about this idea of flexibility and adjustment, and knowing that sometimes we have a starting point in life. And when I say life, I'm not just talking about like, oh, I was born and then, I lived my life, but more so as we're exploring what it means to be ourselves, to develop our personalities, and also to listen and develop our interests, and how those connect with what we decide to spend our time doing. Because we spend so much time doing our careers, wouldn't it be nice if it matched what we were actually interested in? And so Talk to me a little bit about where you are now, right? So you started off as a designer, a dancer, you worked in the entertainment industry, you lived in LA, you lived in New York, and now you've gone back to school here in Philadelphia to become a psychotherapist. What an incredible transformation. Do you find that when you tell people you're becoming a therapist and they knew you when you were a dancer, they're like, what? Or what? Like, how is that going for you?
It actually, well, the interesting thing about having that conversation with people, it was such an affirmation because everybody, their response was kind of like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, like people who knew me from my dance world, people who knew me from, I don't have many friends from high school, but from undergrad, like other design jobs. Yeah, the reaction was kind of like, huh, all right, so I thought this thing, and you see this thing, so all right, let's go.
Yeah, it was like a lot of levels of affirmation and confirmation.
Yeah.
So would you suggest then for folks that are finding their way, how can they continue the journey with this open mind, with this space for reflection? Do you have some tips for folks that are listening on ways that they can not get like you know?
We want everyone to be themselves.
Yes, be themselves, but, you know, to really encourage that process and maybe some points of reflection that you've had as you've journeyed that you can share for the folks listening?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a couple tips. One, and like I was saying about receiving these affirmations from people, I think it's really helpful to lean on the people you know. And, you know, you can be as explicit as, hey, what skills or what things do you notice about me that you think are my strengths? I think it's scary to ask our friends that. And you can ask colleagues, whoever you're comfortable with. It's really scary to ask that question point blank because I think a lot of us feel, well, I don't have any, so I don't want to call attention to that. But you do, you absolutely do. And I think to lean on your friends in that way is really useful. Like, what do you notice? Like, what do you like? Why do you like spending time around me? What strengths do you think I bring to our friendship? What things do you notice about me are the things that like light me up? When do you notice that I seem more energized? Because it's sometimes hard to see that. And I think also what I spoke to this earlier, kind of paying attention to when you feel energized. And that's a skill first and foremost to learn, and that can take some time. So nobody beat themselves up if it takes a little while. But start to notice, like, I noticed that after the gym, I kind of talk faster. I'm more excited. I want to go do something. And I don't even like going to the gym, but it's just, that's what it feels like when my energy is up. And so start to notice the moments in life where like you feel a little brighter, you feel a little lighter. And once you start to differentiate between that and the moments when you feel kind of flat or down or less interested, then you can start to pay attention to like the thing you're getting excited about. And like I said before, kind of journaling and just making mental notes. If you have a good memory like that, you can start to collect over time. And again, like it's a process that takes patience. It took me so many years to get to this point. But every kind of recognition and acknowledgement of those moments adds to the repertoire of information that you have.
100%. Do you have any advice for folks that feel like it's not okay for them to change? Like when they feel that internal self-pressure or pressure from the world around them that like, okay, great, I'm going to journal, I'm going to reflect, I'm going to find the thing, I'm going to ask my friends what they tell me. Then when they tell me, it's totally opposite of what I'm currently doing. Now what?
Right. Yeah, I think for me personally, thinking about the alternative not to change is the motivator for me. It's really scary to think about doing something that other people wouldn't expect, that other people don't think you should do, that society says that you shouldn't do. Society narrates so much of our perception to us. And so it's really scary to think about taking that step forward, but think about what it feels like to stay where you are. probably if you're taking the time to start to notice these things and to try to figure out a next thing, it's because your current state isn't feeling good. And so the alternative to not seeking, to not trying, to not exploring is to feel the thing that you're trying to figure your way out of.
Right.
And not to say that there's anything wrong with staying where you are. Homeostasis is comfortable, but just try to pay attention to the point where that no longer feels good.
Right, and it starts to go the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So in the future, folks can see you as a therapist?
Yes.
How many years from now?
I know, it's so long. I will be able to see clients in, well, like about a year.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, I won't be able to take your insurance then. Like, I have to get licensed first, and that's 3 years after graduation down the line. But yeah.
You'll be able to practice under a practicing therapist.
Under a supervisor, yeah.
That's so incredible. That's so incredible. If folks want to connect with you in any way, is there any information you can share with folks about ways to maybe continue this conversation if they want?
Yeah, absolutely. You can feel free to use my email. I'm comfortable with that. It's hellokacia@gmail.com, and Kacia is spelled Kacia. Or you can find me on Instagram. I started building a page for my photography work.
Beautiful.
There's like 3 posts on it, but it's Kacia Ing, and that's KACIA.N as in Nancy and G as in Gary.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Kacia.
This was
it felt like a Oprah Super Soul Sunday conversation. It was
my goal someday to be on Super Soul Sunday.
Yes, it was incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. This is Helana here, live and in the building, here with you each and every single day, Monday through Friday, from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. live on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial. And what a beautiful conversation that we had. I hope that you were inspired. I hope that you've been uplifted. I hope that this conversation has turned your day into a positive spin so that you can not only notice and make space for self-reflection, but also feel lighter and brighter. And isn't that what a wonderful thing? And I want to encourage you to have a fabulous Wednesday. We are 2 days away from the weekend, so if you're just like, it's okay, you're going to make it through, you got this, you got this, you got this, I'm here with you, I am here with you, I am here with you. We can do this together. And remember what I tell you each and every single day. The love, the joy, and the peace that you seek, it lives inside of you. Have a wonderful day, my beautiful people. You know that I love you guys so much. You don't even understand the capacity that I have love for my listeners and for the city of Philadelphia and for just the human race as it is. And I cannot wait to see you tomorrow.
The Kimmel Center for the Performing Arts presents Philadelphia hip-hop legend Rennie Harris. In his new work, Functified, Harris's Pure Movement company pushes the boundaries of street dance to create a multimedia performance set to the soundtrack of 1970s funk music and more.